Hey guys, we just got new news here as of April 12th, 2025 on a Saturday. Title here going to be Trump exempts phones, computers, and other electronics from reciprocal tariffs. If we go ahead and scroll down here, I'm just going to go ahead and let you guys know what this article says. Trump here administration is exempting electronics such as phones, computers, and other electronics from the reciprocal tariffs imposed on other nations, including China. Guidance posted by Customs and Border Protections, which collects duties on imports, indicated roughly 20 products would be excluded from the reciprocal tariffs. Those include smartphones, computers, routers, and semiconductor chips. And so, in terms of this, I think this is a pretty big win for Apple and NVIDIA. Let's go ahead and continue here. The exemption could be a break for consumers who were facing the possibility of paying higher prices on electronics because of the steep tariffs imposed on China. And then here saying it's also a win for companies like Apple, which manufactures many of its products in China. So here Trump has signaled he will impose sector specific tariffs on goods like semiconductor chips, however, meaning the reprieve may be short-lived in some cases. And the White House earlier this month announced a 10% baseline tariff on foreign imports, as well as steeper reciprocal tariffs on dozens of other countries, including many key trading partners. Trump later announced the steeper tariffs would be reduced to 10% for 90 days to allow for time for negotiations there. That altercation did not apply to China. However, Trump has ratcheted up reciprocal tariffs on China to 125% on top of 20%, and then leading to a proportionate response from Beijing that has escalated fears of a massive trade war between the world's two largest economies. Trump told reporters on Air Force One on Friday night that he was optimistic the U.S. and China would be able to work something out, citing his relationship with President Xi Jinping. I think something has positive is coming out of it, Trump said. So Trump here saying, I think something's positive is coming out of it. So this isn't like an end to the war yet. So the trade war here is still going on for sure. But I do think this is pretty good news here over the weekend for NVIDIA and Apple. And so during the last week, if you did purchase NVIDIA or Apple calls or shares, I do think that was a pretty good choice because going into this upcoming week, we should be able to see a lot more upside moves here for NVIDIA and Apple stock. If we go ahead and also take a look at Bitcoin, I think Bitcoin also went up here as well. Let's go here and go to the hourly chart. Yeah, I think based off of that news, we definitely had a bit of a move here towards the top side. You can also see the 50 EMA crossing above the 200 EMA. So this is a bullish signal here, bullish move here on the hourly chart for Bitcoin, as we potentially could retrace all the way back up to our recent high here of about 88,000. Okay, so definitely keep an eye out for a reversal here back to the top side. In terms of Bitcoin, though, I do want to see if we can test towards 91K. And specifically for this video, I mentioned Bitcoin because I do think this upcoming week we are going to see a green market for the overall market, the S&P 500, especially Apple and NVIDIA. I think both of these are going to see some upside moves. If we take a look at Apple and NVIDIA on unusual whales, this one here as of April 11th, I think this was updated after the market closed. I didn't see it during the day, but after the market closed, we saw Citigroup here with a $150 price target here, a buy recommendation for NVIDIA stock. And again, this one going to be April 11th, 2025 on that Friday there. If we take a look at Apple, no updates as of yesterday, but our latest one being from Jefferies here, a $168 price target as a hold recommendation. Key block here 170 and with a sell recommendation. This is before, keep in mind, this is before the article even came out and before this news even came out. And so with this new news, I think a lot of price targets here are going to be reiterated. So in the upcoming week or two, I think keep an eye out for unusual whales firms, the new firms here having new price targets. So definitely keep an eye out for new price targets there. We have mixtures of from week of March 31st in 2025 there. That week we had a mixture of buying and selling, a bit more buying, as we can see here, 442,000 buys in comparison to 407,000 sales. This is from insiders with the average price of 212. All right, so anything below 212 I think should still be pretty good here for a long term in my opinion. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Apple chart as well as NVIDIA now. So we last left off at 196.98, so right around 197 here for Apple stock. I do think there is going to be a surge here this upcoming week, and honestly, minimally, I think 206 is going to be tested. Really, I am looking for a gap fill up to about 216, 217. It's going to be close to a 10% move, so definitely something to keep an eye out for. As you can see for this gap fill right here, it could even potentially be up to about 220 there. So if we drag this all up to about 220 from our current prices here, right around an 11.5% move toward the top side. I do think if we continue to see a momentum or a reversal back up to the top side, I would keep an eye out for the 200 daily moving average to be tested as well. And that's right around a 15 to 16% move from current prices here. So we already saw a couple days ago that big rally off of the 90-day pause, right? That was pretty huge here. If we compare the move from the bottom to the top, it was like nearly a 20% move. Let's go ahead and go into the hourly chart and just check that real quick. From that low of 168 all the way to the high, yeah, close to a 20% move, showing as like a 19.5% move there. And I think going into this upcoming week, this is just my personal prediction. If you start to see on Sunday evening in the overnight market a move towards 206, I would definitely keep an eye out for even 215 to about 230 being tested here for Apple stock. I think a lot of buyers are going to be stepping back into Apple here. So keep an eye out for the upside moves there. And of course, I do think the all-time high is going to be tested at some point during this year. And then again, take that with a grain of salt, just my personal opinion. Going to be right around a 32% move towards the top side from our current prices here. If we go ahead and take a look at NVIDIA here currently at 110.71. Let's go ahead and compare the current price here. Same thing here. I think in the overnight market on Sunday evening, keep an eye out for a move towards 117 or 118, right around a 5 to 6% move towards the top side. You may even see that during this week, we could potentially rally up to about the 200 daily moving average, right around 126. It's close to a 14% move. And if I zoom out here, my personal prediction for NVIDIA stock, even before this news, between 124 and 132 is what I'm looking for. And so 132, they're going to be a potential short-term resistances as we potentially have a rally here and a lot of buyers stepping back in for NVIDIA stock as well. I would look out for 132 being tested there, and it's close to a 20% move as well. Okay. In terms of the all-time high at 153, I do think during this year we also are going to get a test here towards 153. And again, I really think this is a pretty good dip opportunity. A move towards 153 is going to be right around 38% move, possibly 37.5 there from current prices. In terms of long-term investing, I guess my own advice to myself is don't try to time the bottom. If anything, have a preferable price range, right? And I saw Tom Lee posted, 20% down from the 200 daily moving average is a pretty good entry in terms of 1 month, 3 month, and 1 year profiting, right? So if we take a look at the 200 daily moving average on Apple, right, drop down to about 20%, it's right around 180, 182. That would have been a really good entry point. And again, we did dip down to about 169, and obviously it's hard to time the bottom, but once you find your preferable price range of entry point, possibly dollar cost average, look to add a position, right? So here being at 182, 183 would have been a really good entry point. I still think between 206 and 173 is still a pretty good shot here at dollar cost averaging. If you're loading in between these two zones here, I would look for that reversal towards 260 at some point long term. 260 I think will be tested, and again, I wouldn't mind dollar cost averaging as long as we're below 206 or even below the 200 daily moving average. Right. Same thing with NVIDIA here. If you wanted to view the 200 daily moving average and drop down to about 20%, you'll see that it's close to about $101, $102. So again, that would be a really good entry point as well. I know we dipped down to about $86 here, and personally I added some position here for NVIDIA long-term, just about 15 shares at $88. I added more at about $98, and then I added more at about $103. And my last purchase for NVIDIA was actually on Friday there. I added about like 10 more or 9 more shares at about 110 average, right? So same thing here. I am looking for that reversal towards the top side. I think anything between 117 down to about 96 is a really good entry point. I mentioned in our previous video, anything below 103, I would be adding a big position. And so that's where I did try to add as much as I could at $88. Again, not timing the bottom, but coincidentally, being very close to it, and then here having that reversal back up. So this week I am looking for 118 or 117 to be tested. I'm also looking for 124 to about 132. I think the volume here for NVIDIA is going to be pretty massive during this week. So both NVIDIA and Apple, watch for a big move towards the top side, especially due to this article here, or the latest news here about Trump exempting phones, computers, and other electronics from reciprocal tariffs. I think this is going to be really nice for the overall stock market as well. And again, like I said, specifically Apple and NVIDIA, even if I'm not trading it, I definitely want to keep an eye on Apple and NVIDIA during this week just to see how the price action is going to be. And I just want to see how buying pressure is going to be as we potentially break above some of these resistance levels on the way up. And again, do I think the all-time high is going to be tested during this year for Apple and NVIDIA? To answer that, personally, I do believe NVIDIA and Apple are both going to make new all-time highs during 2025, even with all these tariff news here, okay? Let me know what your thoughts are down below in the comments for NVIDIA and Apple stock. Thank you guys for tuning into this video, and let us know down below if you purchased any shares or call options for NVIDIA or Apple during these past few days. I know the dip here looks quite scary for some people, but I heard stories about someone selling NVIDIA at $88 and then, only to then a couple days later see a spike all the way back up to 115. So definitely, know what you own and don't be afraid of the dip, in my opinion. I think, if you purchased at 140, be prepared for the bag holding down to about these levels. Watch for the recovery. Overall, I think these two stocks are going to have its recovery anyhow. And so let us know down below in the comments, what you've done these past few weeks or past few days and what your plans are during this upcoming week for NVIDIA and Apple. I think these two stocks, while they are below the 200 daily moving average, I personally have it as a buy. I know some analysts out there are saying, don't buy Apple, blah, 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 tariffs and all that. But like I said, man, the sentiment can change very fast. And with that, being said here about the Trump exempting phones, computers, and other electronics reciprocal tariffs, this is obviously changing the sentiment, and we're about to flip here basically for Apple stock. So watch for the 200 daily moving average to be tested. So Apple here 230, NVIDIA here around 126. I'm really excited and really looking forward to both these stocks. I'm going to also be making more videos on Apple and NVIDIA during this week as well, okay? On a side note, I'm also keeping an eye out for Tesla as well. 20% down from the 200 daily moving average for Tesla is right around 230. So anything around 230 or lower is a really, really good entry. Previously in my own channel, I said anything below 250, I'd add a big position. Anything below 272, don't mind adding a small position. And if I did miss out on that, then keep an eye out for 313 being retested as well. Okay, so 313, 355, 406. These are levels I'm watching for Tesla too. Thank you guys for watching, and if you don't have a community, I highly recommend joining our Discord, link down below in the description or in the QR code on the right side. We have a dedicated chat section for Apple and NVIDIA, as well as Tesla. We have over 32,000 people there, and it's free to join. And if you are looking for live entries and exits on stocks and options, or if you're looking to just learn or chat with the community in a deeper scale level, feel free to join our Patreon, QR code on the right, or Patreon link, second link down below in the description of the video, okay? Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.